All right, this is Ashae's Biology 11 Big Ideas Workshop Exit Interview. And we're going to do a little peek at final portfolio piece, a little chat about key learnings in the course, and then some assessment that we'll do. It's called self-assessment, but we will work on it together, don't worry.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'll pass it over to you, Ashae, and if you want to share your screen, that would be awesome for the recording.
Okay. Trees. Yeah. So that's my exploration of trees.
Love it.
It's loading. I had fun making my little triangle tree.
I really like that. It's a very pleasantly placed.
It's really satisfying.
Nice fonts, colors.
So I took this project opportunity to expand my knowledge of trees because I know it's something that I'm going to use in my future. And it's just really handy to know what trees are. And I was learning, thinking about the two new words thing. And I learned what cambium means.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Which is cool. And I also learned, I put this in as a new word, put in arbor, which I know as a word, but didn't realize that it actually means tree in Latin.
Nice.
Kind of cool. And so I've done 5 additional tree species in the way that we did for the herbarium.
Cool.
So Arbutus benzici, which I learned is actually just, it's the genus, so it's not for these trees.
Oh, cool.
Like we have lots of different types of arbutus. Like arbutus is what we all call them.
Yeah.
But they're actually, it's not actually an arbutus.
Oh yeah, cool.
It's not. That's not the specific. But I don't know what the specific of these ones are.
Okay.
They're the big trees with the flaky bark.
Yeah, I love arbutus trees. Remember
they're so gorgeous.
The first time I went out to BC and I saw arbutus and I was just blown away. I couldn't even get over how they shed their.
I know, and it's so cool because it's just the wood, but it's like the bark coming off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the Douglas fir, which has always been a sort of confusing thing for me. I've always gotten super confused about which is which, the Douglas or the balsam.
Mm-hmm.
And then learned that we don't have balsam here.
Easy.
Well, but we have grand, which we call balsam.
Oh.
We have the grand fir, which is what my family has always referred to as a balsam fir.
Interesting.
And so a Douglas fir is like a pipe cleaner.
Okay.
They're got the needles all the way around. Whereas the balsam, or the grand fir, it's known as a western balsam, which is where the confusion comes in.
Flat, yeah.
Because I was looking for a balsam in all of my tree books and going, balsam doesn't grow in our area. It doesn't even grow in BC. So how is this supposed to work? And then realized that it's actually a grand fir.
Interesting.
Which was super interesting. Yeah.
You use balsam on winter camping trips as well to make a mattress, because the needles all go in one direction. They're not pricky up, but you can
they're not pokey. They're just
you can flip the branches down and lay them all down and make an amazing mattress in a quinzhee or a snow cave.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whereas the other ones are all fuzzy and prickly and crazy.
Yeah.
And so it's always been. I've known there was a difference, but didn't know who was who. And also the Douglas are the ones that have the little mice in their cones.
The little what?
Right? The mice in their cones. Do you know that trick?
No.
About
the little the winter mice?
Yeah.
The little you're talking the arts and crafts thing?
No, the cones.
Yeah.
They have little there's a little thing inside of, coming out of the layers, from underneath the layers. It's like the end of the seed.
Yeah.
And it's 2 shorter little spikes and then a long one, and it looks like the back of a mouse.
Oh my god, that's so cute.
And there's this story about the mice that got stuck in the balsam tree. I don't remember the story, but that's how you remember, or sorry, in the Douglas tree.
That's really
and that's how you know that it's a Douglas cone, because I think it's the Douglas. Yeah, because they have these little creatures in them.
Oh. Dog is a super cute name for a mouse. That's how I'll remember that.
Yeah. Doug the pet mouse. Because Grand, it's not the cutest name.
No, not the cutest name.
Western red cedar.
Nice.
And lodgepole pine, which I found this tree, like I was looking for a 5th one, and I was walking through Sandpiper, which is sort of a subdivision for Hornby, but not very subdivision-y. There's lots of trees, and it was just sort of in the trees on the side of the road, and it was quite a small tree, and it was the only one there, so I can't guarantee that it was native to that location. It might have been planted.
Yeah.
But we do have them in the area, just not necessarily on the island. There's a few, but not like tons. And it was also confusing to identify because it was such a tiny tree, and all of the lodgepole pines are huge trees. In all the books, you look at it and they're pictures of these giant tall trees. So to try and figure that out, but the reason that I knew that it was that is because it's the only one with a two needle cluster.
Awesome.
Like lots of them have 5 or 3 or 4.
Yeah.
But this one just has 2. And then, so as an additional piece, I decided to work on the wood identification.
Cool.
And so I asked my dad if he'd take me down to the beach. So I went with my notebook and my camera, and he helped me out. And it was really interesting to work on identifying the wood without, because you can do so much without the branches and the bark and, the leaves and the rest of the tree and just the log. There was most of the time there was no bark on the logs.
Wow.
They look like this, and we could identify them.
Wow.
So that's the cottonwood. And I just have, all the different features that I used. So the bark. I don't have the images, but we were looking at some specimen that did have bark on them. And it's, crackly on the outside and can be pulpy, but it sometimes has that stringy underlayer. And they smell so good. That's kind of the most key feature to figure them out. And then Western red cedar, which we have so much of on the beach here. These ones did have bark on them. And there was a couple of really interesting things about the Western red cedar for identifying. The knots of the wood, I learned, are way tougher than the rest of the tree. And so when they're deteriorating on the beach, they'll quite often have these big spiky knots sticking out. Or you'll see that even in the forest with a dead tree. They'll start rotting away on the outside, but they'll just have these big protruding knots, which can help you tell. And the color can vary so much. There was one that I looked at. My dad's like, oh, what's that tree? So we would walk along the beach, and he would point at a tree, and he'd say, what's that? And I'd look at it, and I'd go, I don't know, try and rack my brain. And he pointed at a red cedar, and immediately I was like, oh, it's a yellow cedar, because it was so yellow. But then, and I mean, I could tell it was a cedar, but then I was going by the color for the identification. And then we had a hatchet with us, and we'd whack it and chop it out. As you can see here, we'd slice out a bit. And then you could see underneath, it got red and pink inside. And then they also have a super stringy bark, which we found this giant hunk of bark here.
Oh, what a fun thing to do with your dad. That must have been really nice.
Oh, it was really great. And it was super nice sunny day and stuff, so it was lovely.
Awesome.
Yeah, and then Douglas fir.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was fun to do. Pink. They have very defined difference between the color of the heartwood and the sapwood.
Nice.
So it's like pinky orange heartwood and then like a white beige sapwood. So if you get like a nice clean cross section, like if you're down there with a chainsaw or whatever, cut the end off, which my dad is quite often at the beach with the chainsaw cutting wood and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, and the younger trees are like super straight and round, which is like a defining feature. Arbutus, we didn't see a lot of this, but it's like super wiggly and crazy and pretty hard to mistake, and it's super hard. My dad was saying if you cut into it, like it's like reddy and pink, but sometimes you can even get hints of blue in there, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
And then the yellow cedar, which is, as you can see, very yellow, which I realized once I actually spotted one. And like the scent between them. Like my dad, when I tried to identify that red cedar as the yellow cedar, he cut off a piece of that, and then he went and cut off a piece of a yellow cedar, and he stuck them in front of me, and he said, "Smell this." And I went, "Oh, no, that's a yellow cedar." It's so defined. It sometimes smells like carrots. Like a bit bitter. It totally does. Like, it smells like bitter carrots, which is weird. But it's, like, quite spicy.
Interesting.
Yeah. We used our nose a lot to tell. Like, that was what would call it, basically. Like, you look at it, you look for all the features that you can see, and then you cut in and you smell it. And we would know. Some of them, they smelled so bad. It was like, oh, that had been in the ocean for way too long.
So funny, and I don't know if you would, or I don't know if I should say, I don't know if I have ever seen that in guidebooks, like it usually just gives defining features and doesn't include sensory elements and like smell. That's funny.
Generally because you're not looking at dead wood on the beach.
Yeah.
Like you're generally looking at trees out in the forest and they don't really want you hacking a chunk out of the tree so you can smell it.
I guess just to chop open a live tree.
No, not so good.
Well, that's really, I love
it was really great to be using your senses for that.
Cool.
And also with the yellow cedar, you can tell because the old wood, like there were some giant logs down there, and they check. So the outside, like this, you can see the cracks in it, and they'll check inward, and so the big ones will have these big gaps in them around the outside. Oops. And then maple, which rots really fast, but is nice and hard when it's not rotten. And it has all these, like, we found this beautiful piece. My dad really wanted to go get it to do some turning, with all these burls and knots and spalting and stuff in it, which is beautiful. There's just so many different textures on them.
Awesome.
And it's fun to see that because if you see a maple tree, you don't see that in the forest. It's all hidden under the bark. So when it's worn away like that from the ocean, you get to see that.
Oh, that is really fun. Yeah.
And then alder, which we did see one on the beach, but this was just up from the beach. There was some fallen stuff in the actual tree because my dad just wanted me to take a picture for the bark. But I did identify one log down on the beach, which I didn't get a picture of, and it was very nice. It was like really straight, but it has all of these little sort of grooves along the end, like it was smooth, but then it had all these little lines in it, which was cool along the length of the wood.
Right? Knowing that alders are going to be a little bit narrower, so you're like, you know what you're looking forward to. That helps to.
Yeah, but I mean, this log that we saw on the beach was a good, like, probably like 10 inches.
Oh yeah.
In circumference. Yeah, or sorry, in diameter. It was good sized. Yeah, it wasn't too small.
Cool.
And then we're excited.
So wait, how many did you end up identifying? That was more than 5.
No, there was a lot more than 5.
I initially thought we were going to do 5. Nice work.
We were, but my dad just kept walking down the beach and saying, "What's that?" And I
So how
couldn't
many was
deny
that?
him.
8 or
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7.
7? Okay, cool. Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I'm just capturing a few words here.
Yeah, and I mean, like, but at the beginning, I like every time he told me a log to identify, I'd look at it going, "What?" Like, they all look the same. I can't tell. But by the end of our little like hour-long walk, I was feeling super confident about it, and it was great.
Wow.
Totally do it. Yeah, and I mean, I'd see it. I'd see it, and I'd have like a first reaction and be like, "Oh, it's this," and then I'd look again and I'd go, "No, Ashae, it's not that, it's this." And I could tell the difference and like find that defining feature that would turn me in the right direction.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
So then, okay, here's a question for you relating it back to big ideas. I'll paste them in our chat box. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. So then, which big ideas are associated with this project in your mind?
Okay, wait. Gotta look at this. Two and 3, maybe.
2 and
I don't know.
all organisms have characteristics defined in this.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Often I'm surprised at how it can almost be a lot, but yeah, definitely not one. We're not really talking about unique conditions of
No.
life originating. Or evolution, really. I mean, we didn't get into that, although it could be. But yeah, so I think 2 and 3 were the main ones for you as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to plug those in. Perfect. I guess I wanted to add a 4th question here. So, you know, like this course is coming to an end here, but I like to value that, you know, it is really just the beginning. And especially because you're stepping into a bunch of really awesome courses with Wild Earth and some amazing experiences. And I know that you'll pull lots of this learning in there. What's like one area in the course that you are excited to like learn more about and continue studying at some point?
Like everything. It's biology. It's great. It's life. But I don't know. I mean, I know it won't happen with necessarily like going off and doing my Wild Earth stuff and like that, but I was definitely really interested when we were doing the evolution stuff. Like, it's not really stuff that I've thought about before so much, and kind of curious about that more. So, be interesting to do some more research on that.
Cool.
And who knows whether that would happen as a self-motivated thing or if it would end up being in a future course or whatever. But just sparked my interest.
I think you should bookmark the Big History Project and check that website out again. I don't know if you ever peeked at it, but it's really, really cool. And it's something that I like, you know, I'll find myself if I'm on Facebook or something, I'm like, okay, Sarah, get off Facebook and like, look at, you know, blah, 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 blah. But Big History Project is one of my go-tos in terms of like just pulling little pieces of evolutionary history into my brain.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, our last bit here. So you can see in the self-assessment piece, I want you to come up with a handful of categories. And then some little proof pieces that support your growth in this category, or lack of growth, like just whatever you want to kind of share. So ideas would be, passions or interests, content, commitment, those are a few ideas, but it can be whatever you want. But between the 4 or 5 categories, I'd like for it to be a fairly holistic group.
Okay.
So let's come up with those.
And then down here, right? Categories. Yeah. Okay. For this final project or for the whole course?
I would like for this to be for your final project so that we can kind of keep it, like this will go towards your exit interview mark.
Okay.
Yeah. Meant to be for the final project if possible.
Awesome. Like creativity?
Yes. Totally. Sometimes it's easier to just go from like left to right rather than like list them all at the same time. So like you have creativity on the mind. What made you think of that? Let's put some things in the proof category now.
Right.
And I'll help.
One project that I was like, I feel like I wasn't like over the top creative on this one.
No, really. Well, I think so. This piece.
It wasn't as much me as just like absorbing information.
Yeah, which is kind of cool for you. Like you often, like you are such a leader in your own life that like you need to like get all the information yourself. I think this one was cool that you like ask someone else. So like drawing on the resources that were available to you.
Yeah. I mean, I had to kind of like lead my dad to lead me.
Yeah.
But it was like, okay, Dad, I need you to take me to the beach. And I need it to happen now. Because I have a thing that needs to be done. And you need to teach me some stuff. But then once it was him, once I could pass the baton to him and he could do his thing and show me stuff, then it was totally great.
I like that the project is like inherently pretty biology focused, and the fact that like you had to do it outside.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. Yeah, and I went for a couple little walks to collect my tree bits when I was doing the bird stuff.
Yeah. And I guess the creativity part too is like applicable to your life. Like you're like creative with the project being like, yeah, like, it's cool to be able to see a leaf and recognize what tree it's from, but like, I don't always see leaves all times of the year. Like, how can you recognize? So that's a creative way for you to think of like, I see a lot of driftwood because you live in this beautiful place. Yeah.
I live on a beach. Or surrounded by a beach. Yeah.
Okay, so then let's just go right around. Actually, maybe the grading kind of might want to happen at the end. It's up to you.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's another category?
Another category is I guess like presentation of knowledge.
Yeah, totally.
Oops. So like when I read that, what are you seeing like how I presented it or like what knowledge was presented? I'm not sure.
Presentation of new knowledge. Ooh.
Like, is that about the knowledge or about the presentation?
Let's do the knowledge. Let's do the knowledge piece because we already have a whole category dedicated to creativity.
Okay, awesome.
So professional.
I try. Yeah, I know. I was looking through the like the rubric that we'd created before. And I was like going through, had fun. Check.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was really fun. And it was good because I don't spend a lot of time with my dad.
Aww.
We all do our own thing in our house, but really I'm pretty distanced from a lot of them. Just kind of in my own little world. We're all just sort of in our own little worlds, and so it's fun to have that little connect time.
Oh, I love that, Ashae. That's so special.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, essentially this is like pretty similar to the other rubric, but I just wanted it to be like a little bit more in the moment. But feel free to do that as well if there is maybe one more category that you want to draw on.
I don't know.
Commitment.
Sure.
What did you say? You went on 3 walks?
I had for the trees. Well, yep. I actually went on 3 for the trees, but only 2 of them were successful because I brought home specimens and then I didn't do them right away, and so they all dried out.
Oh no!
Well, there was just a couple pieces of fir and arbutus that I'd gotten, but then I was already going out for the birds again. So, yeah.
Roughly, would you say
I was probably out for like an hour and a half with my dad, and then like they're probably little half an hour walks. Yeah. The other 2. The one I went out and I just had to go grab some cedar from up the trail because there's cedar everywhere. But that wasn't like one of my walks. I did go out for 2 other walks when I found the pine and the arbutus and the stuff.
Well.
Yeah.
Okay, and then let's throw some marks out here. So, creativity.
I definitely wouldn't give myself full marks on creativity. I guess just not in the general sense that I'm used to. I don't know. It's like hard to see myself as being creative.
What about like a 4.5?
You're so generous, Sarah.
Well, you still, I think the idea itself was really cool. Like, I haven't really had people say like, "Oh, field guide for driftwood." Like, that's essentially
right.
Like, that's a really creative idea. And I also like put the damper on you. I know if I didn't have that meeting with you saying like, "Back it up, girl," you would have done something stupid and spent way too much time on it. So I also need to like bring that into the play, right? If, like what my expectations were. Yeah.
Yep. You would have done something stupid. It would have been great, but it would have been
great. Presentation of knowledge.
Presentation of knowledge.
Your layout and your way of sharing your information. What do you think on that? Pretty awesome, right?
Yeah, sure.
I think it's a 5.
Okay. What about have your reassurance on that? Because I'm so bad.
Well, this one I think you actually know because I love that you really said spending time with your dad because, sorry, someone's hammering next door. That's really frustrating.
It's okay.
This one's cool because, traditionally in First Nations cultures, like a lot of information gets handed down from parents to kids, right? In terms of like biology.
Yeah.
So I thought that this was really amazing that like you were learning about the trees in your area from your dad. And I like to try and bring some of those learning outcomes into our courses as much as I can of like, this appreciation for the wild spaces around us and the ways that people have used them in the past. And so that's I think a really unique. Yeah, like you love what you were doing and like you like invited family into this one.
Yeah.
So what do you want to give yourself out of 5?
I could give myself a 5.
Awesome. And then
I don't know.
you can do a 5. It's a pretty great project. It's exactly
Okay.
all the expectations that I asked for. And like I said, in a sense, it's like I'm almost giving you marks for like holding back.
You're like, good job, Ashae. You didn't do something stupid.
Yeah.
You didn't go for it. You didn't go crazy.
So a 19.5 out of 20. Where's my calculator? Where's your math brain?
I have a calculator. How's my math brain? It's a calculator.
19.5 times 5. I can't do them.
13.5. Oh, I should do this.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, but
5.
I'm sick. Can I use that as an excuse?
I can't bring my brain into it right now.
Okay, wait. So 5 times 10 is 50 times 5 times 9 is 45. That's 95. And then 97.2. Let me see. 97.5. Sorry.
I was like, how does it point 2 there?
That was like 97.5.2. Right? Not.
All right, Ashae. Excellent work, hun. I'm going to stop the recording and I will share this link with you.